This is the 80s Show on iHeartRadio.
Let's go. Say ho. Say ho. Whoa. Ho. Whoa. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
So, are you by any chance a spiritual person? Do you believe in a higher power, a creator, intelligent design, whatever you want to call it? And I'm not necessarily asking you, in fact, this has nothing to do with creationism. Oh, let's suspend all that tomfoolery for a second. Not saying it's foolish to believe in creationism, but let's just suspend for a second that debate and assume for a moment that you're considering the existence of a higher power. What do you think the best example of proof of that higher power is? Some people would tell you, oh, it's beauty, it's the sky. How can you look at a rainbow and not think that that was put there by someone who wanted beautiful stuff? Yeah, that's a valid point. But I think, as someone who is spiritually searching, not all that hard, but as someone who is spiritually searching and someone who's pretty much skeptical of every last thing is possible to be skeptical of, someone who relies on logic, I think I've found what I consider to be the best indicator that all of this isn't dumb luck. What is it? It has to do with you and how you go through life. And we'll get into that shortly. Thank you for joining us. Join the conversation at 80SXE, at Funk FM.
Uncle Sam bends me over with no lube every April, and I'm proud to be an American, but I'm getting really hateful. Billionaires and losers both get their asses bailed out.
If you like what you're hearing, tweet the show at 80SXE. AD on iHeartRadio.
I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. This is my United States of whatever. Picture me giving a damn, I said never. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working, running that rat race at that pace in that place will leave a bad taste.
Hey, join in the conversation. Tweet us. This is an interesting one. At 80SXE, at Funk FM. And let's for a second imagine that you are looking for proof of a higher power. The idea of intelligent design, perhaps. The idea that there's more going on than dumb luck when it comes to the creation of the universe, the world we live in, and all of the above. The nature that is human tends to operate in such a way where it requires proof, or at least mine does. And there goes that old contradiction with the existence of God. Man wants proof of God, but proof denies faith, and without faith, God is nothing, as Douglas Adams so succinctly put it. So the moment you get proof, what did he say? God would disappear in a puff of logic. But a lot of people say they know. They know in their heart. They absolutely know that there is a higher power. They know that there's intelligent design. They've had conversations with God. And I don't know about that. Maybe I'm not heightened spiritually enough to have had my own conversation. But in those moments where I'm like, okay, I'm open to it, hit me with some proof, I've gotten a big fat donut. And this is not to disparage anybody's sense of spirituality whatsoever. But, like I said, I kind of tend to operate from a place of needing proof. Or needing, well, something. And quite often I get nothing. That's not to, again, mock or scoff at anybody's belief or sense of spirituality in anything whatsoever. I'm still searching. Not necessarily searching all that hard. But ready, willing, open, and able to be hit by whatever lightning bolt I could be hit by to turn me into someone who's a little bit more spiritually active, someone who believes in that higher power. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if this is a lightning bolt, but I think this is about as close as one gets, or at least this is as close as I get in my thinking about this sort of stuff. If I asked you, or if I told you rather, hey, I donated $50 to the ASPCA or the Humane Society or a cancer charity. What would you think of me? You'd probably think, oh, that's pretty cool. Donate $50, that's cool. But if I told you I donated a couple hours of my time, volunteered, walked dogs, maybe I'm part of that musicians on call thing where people that know how to play the guitar or something like that go into hospitals and entertain patients. Maybe I did something like that. Maybe I'm walking dogs. Maybe I'm taking part in some sort of drive or 5K or something like that. What would you think of me? You'd probably think a little bit more of me than if I told you I was donating the $50. Why? Somehow that seems more valuable. Somehow that seems more invested. I'll tell you why you think more of me in that situation, or why I would think more of you, because that's more tangible. Donation of money? Well, what is money really? It's just, an agreed upon value for a piece of paper that we hand around. And now we're not even dealing with that paper. So what is money other than sort of like promises? It's this vague, intangible thing. But seeing me or hearing me or picturing me in your mind, helping. Well, not only does that make you think more of me, that inspires you, doesn't it? If I say, hey, I'm going to give $50, you go, okay. But if I say, hey, I'm going to go volunteer, you're likely to go, oh, I might come and do that with you, or I might do that on my own time. It's tangible. And it makes you feel good. Why? Because you see me in the act of helping someone. If somebody drops a bag of groceries and I stop and help and pick them up, and you see that, you're going to go, oh, he's a nice guy. He's helping out that nice lady. And you might walk over and help out. And if you don't walk over and help out, your faith in human nature is going to be slightly restored. You're going to walk around a little bit taller, feeling like you're part of something awesome because you just saw the best sides of human beings. And you know what? You're probably going to do something similar. If you don't get in there and help then, you're probably going to do something similar later in the day. You're probably going to look for an opportunity to help someone out because you've been inspired by watching an act of kindness. Kindness inspires kindness. Help inspires help. We are set up in such a way, and I think we are set up in such a way by our Creator, if we have one, to look out for one another. I believe that this act of giving that you bear witness to when you see something like that happen, that's put there not only because, well, that's a cool thing for one human to do for another human. That's put there to inspire others. And it's a chemical reaction in your body that you cannot fight when you see someone help another person and you feel good about it. Why do you think you feel good about it? I think it's dopamine or something like that. It's some sort of chemical release in your brain, but you can't help but feel good when you see someone helping someone else out. And that's going to inspire you to help someone else out. And that to me is conclusive proof of the fact that we are put on this earth to help one another out. Why were we put on this earth to help one another out? Who put us here? That's where the lightning bolt comes in. That's where I feel the way we're wired to help one another, wired to be good to one another, wired to get little chemical rewards from our brains when we do good and see good happening in front of us. That's the closest thing to proof I can imagine that we are part of some sort of intelligent design. Why do we talk about this? Well, here's the thing. I found this study. If you donate to charity, you know it's not a completely selfless act because donating makes you feel good too. And then you can humble brag about it on Facebook. But apparently donating your time, this has been scientifically proven recently, boosts your own well-being even more than donating money. Donating your time, it boosts your own well-being even more than donating money. According to a new study, giving money makes you feel positive in general for up to a week, which is pretty good. It's still giving. It's still good. I'm not taking away from the act of charitable thoughtfulness and kindness of your heart and giving of yourself that takes place when you give money. But volunteering and donating time makes you happy for up to 24 days on average. And for people between the ages of 18 and 24, it can last for more than a month. Yeah. A month of good feelings for donating some time, volunteering. About 2,000 people took part in this survey, and over 75% say they volunteered or given to charity in the last year. And those who had were 12% more likely to say they were happy with their life in general. They also were more likely to report having an overall sense of inner calm, being cool with yourself, feeling good about yourself, feeling good about the place in your world. We are set up chemically by whatever it was, whoever it was that created us. We are put on this earth to help one another out. We are put on this earth to be decent to one another. We are put on this earth. We are made part of humanity so that we can leave this world in a better way than what we find it. And I urge you to find a way to do that today, whether it's helping a person, whether it's donating time, money, energy, what have you, to something that you don't necessarily feel benefits you. It's not your job. It's not something you have to do. But trust me on this. I've always felt this way, but now I have the scientific facts and figures to back it up. If you go out into the world and you do something awesome for someone else, a selfless act, a donation of time, money, something, an act of charity in whatever form that charity takes, you're going to feel a whole lot better about yourself. Maybe for over a month from the one selfless act. And if that doesn't say to you that we are put on this earth to be awesome to one another, I don't know what does. And if that doesn't make you lean a little bit toward thinking that there's something out there that created us and wants us to not be dicks to one another, I would take it as that. Yep, and that's what I would think. Anyways, inspiring story that I found this morning that I felt I had to share with you when I came in. Today in the show, we're going to taunt the FCC by saying Redskins, perhaps. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about a guy who, the cojones on this dude, wore an F the police shirt to his court hearing. How do you think that worked out for him? We'll discuss it shortly after we get into the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair. Certainly not balanced. Funkhauser. A, how are you? B, what's going on in the world? How's it going?
Going pretty good, man. Going pretty good. Nothing new to report.
Nothing new to report. Just I always say this: the world would be a better place if we were more like Funkhauser. Never really
forgetful and boring.
No, not forgetful and boring, but I've never seen you I've never seen you get super unbelievably happy. I've never seen you get frustrated or sad, and I'm sure there's periods of frustration and sadness and elevated amounts of happiness, but the level of calm and sort of seeming peace and serenity with which Funkhauser goes through life. Usually most people I know have to be medicated, doing yoga, doing something to take the edge off, or drink heavily. That's what a lot of people I know do. Usually people have to be medicated, self-medicated or otherwise, to get to that level of evenness that Funkhauser experiences on a daily basis in his life. The world would be a better place if we were all just a little more Funkhauser.
I just take it out on the traffic on my way in. Honk.
Oh my God. That's, you know what, I feel like I hold it all in all day long. All day long I hold it all in. And the moment I get behind the wheel of a car, the very worst parts of my personality come out. Now, thankfully, it doesn't affect my driving, where I don't ever ride someone's ass if I feel like they cut me off. I don't ever do anything with the car that could endanger anyone. But the thoughts that go through my mind, the things I scream and yell behind the wheel of a car, like, just because you kind of cut me off and forgot to signal, it's really not a good reason to wish cancer upon someone. It's like when somebody cuts me off, or when somebody doesn't let me in and I want to be let in and they're like, nope, sorry, I'm going somewhere. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to be like, you know what, I hope you return home to find all your kids dead in a house fire. But that's what I think and say behind the wheel of a car.
What about the guy that drives down the gutter side of the freeway, like the unlane part of the freeway because he's late? And he's got, one of those real expensive cars, and he's just flying down the non-lane. Should that guy get cancer? How
I just spent the last 10 or so minutes talking about conclusive proof of a higher power that is just and